Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
And today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 6, If We Make It Through December. And as per usual, quick notes before we start. Thank you to the folks at Earp Fiction Addiction for the commercial that we've been using at the beginning of the podcasts. And then thank you to everybody for the comments and sharing the podcast. We really appreciate it. And keep them coming. We try to reply. If we miss it, then that's our bad. We promise we're not slighting you or anything. It's just sometimes it's one of those like, oh, I'm going to check this, and then I forget to reply. So most of the time, that's my bad. But with that, I know you have a quick recap for me. That's probably really fabulous.
I do. It's not as fabulous as last time. Okay. I'm not going to try to force the stuff on. If the Stefan comes out of me, then I'll roll with it. But this time, just straight up recap. Eggnog for everyone. It's the holiday season in Purgatory. Wynonna teams up with a new ally to search for a missing kid on Christmas Day. Meanwhile, Waverly learns more about her father.
Alrighty. Maybe we'll get Stefan next time.
Maybe.
Alrighty, so hit me with that title.
The title for this episode comes from the Merle Haggard song of the same name. The first impression for this one, I thought was a Christmas episode. The Merle Haggard song and the lyrics, and so I did think that this was going to be Christmas. I also thought that if not, the title might hint at a character death in this episode, but thankfully that was not the case.
That would have been upsetting.
Right?
Yeah, we don't need 2 character deaths this season, I think.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's overkill.
Yeah. Now, if only the powers that be will listen to that.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. Alright. So, with that, where would you like to start?
I mean, I have some thoughts, and I have some favorite moments. Why don't, favorite moments, I really loved Menstru Angel and
yes!
Doc dragging around that darn Christmas tree that he could not unload on anyone. I thought those two were the best, running gag of the episode. And it was close for me because I thought it was so precious seeing Doc haul that thing around. It's just losing leaves. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas tree by the time it gets to Jeremy. So, yeah, I really loved both of those.
I mean, he probably would have lost fewer needles if, he just picked it up and carried it. It wasn't a big tree. He's a strong dude. He could carry it. I could have carried it.
Yeah.
No, I felt for Doc in that tree, especially because I too prefer a real tree. That's really the way you gotta go. So to have him just, get no no respect for going out and getting the tree. There were a lot of moments this episode. There were a lot of great, physical comedy moments, the minor stuff. Mostly courtesy of Tim.
Yeah.
But yeah, just him being backed out of the house by Michelle when he brings in that tree is just killed me. The look on Doc's face was just so great. But yeah, that poor tree. And the Menstru Angel was so great. I need to see somebody cosplaying that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Let's get somebody sponsored by Tampax and just go to town.
And I think it was it was funny with, like, Michelle being so hellbent on, like, I want it to be perfect, I want it to be perfect, I want it to be perfect. So much so that she rejects this thing that her child made. And it was such not a traditional mom thing. It's like, okay, this is a woman who, yeah, she's a mom, but she hasn't really, she didn't grow up with her children.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't really spend any time with them for most of their lives. So it's like, she doesn't do those mom things. She's stuck on, let's make it perfect, instead of, well, let's let my daughters have this ridiculous angel on the tree, because that's what they do every year. So.
There was one year where my mom, she was writing mortgages, and so she had a really good year, and she went out and bought a professionally decorated tree to go in her formal living room, like where the Christmas tree went. And so it was funny because I think I was probably around like 14 or 15 at the time, and it had gotten to the point where it was like putting all of these little like macaroni art, pieces of trash on the tree that I had made was embarrassing because I was in high school and it was so cool. But then that year she was like, no, we're going to have this professionally decorated Christmas tree. And me and my brother were like, what is this? Like, where does my macaroni art go? And we were like really upset. We were so upset that my dad was like, go buy them their own tree. And so she did, and we kept it upstairs. And me and my brother like decorated it on our own. And she was like, well, let me come help you. And we were like, no, you don't want our macaroni art. We're going to decorate this tree.
Oh,
so
man.
that was sort of what it reminded me of. Like, cause my mom was like, she, for whatever reason, like that year, she was just like, I'm going to have this perfect Christmas tree and it's going to be this idealistic Christmas. And me and Jordan were like, this is my little brother. We were just like, this is a joke. This is not a Christmas tree.
Yeah, the funny thing is, too, I think we had an angel that looked very similar to the one that Michelle put on the tree, too. So it's like, because we were always angel on a tree people, and then when my parents split, it's like all of a sudden my mom started putting a star on the top of the tree, so it was like, wait a minute, what? But I know, it's like the professional Christmas tree thing, it's like the people who just go out and buy like the generic, balls and stuff like that. I'm just like, but you don't have the fun, like, I have so many ornaments that are just like my parents used to give us ornaments and stuff like that, or like this ugly little angel ball that I made in Girl Scouts one year. Mm-hmm. Her hair is falling off. It's like the ugliest little thing. But I still put it on the tree every year because it's like, okay, that's how you do a tree. Yeah. So it's
tradition.
Yeah, but the idea of a professionally decorated tree that you can't put your...
Yeah, and my cat, God love him, who was the chillest cat, he annihilated that tree, like from the inside out, like just went straight up it and just tore the guts out of this tree. God love him.
He picked up on your feelings about the tree.
He could sense my hostility.
Yeah, I
thought it was hilarious. Worry. He did not mess with our Christmas tree either at the top of the stairs. All he wanted was her perfect tree. I was like, yes, get it.
He's like, don't worry, girl, I got this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
amazing. Sorry, that was a long aside, but yeah.
I have a feeling it will happen a few times.
Probably.
It's a Christmas episode, There's gonna be some Christmas talk, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Talk of traditions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, docking that damn tree, man.
It was so funny. God, it was funny.
Also, speaking of traditions and stuff like that, I am also with Wynonna about the cranberry sauce.
I know!
Weirdly enough, my two younger siblings like it.
No,
but I'm always
no one likes it.
I'm always get that stuff off the table. Cranberry sauce doesn't belong near my food.
Right.
And then it took me 3 watches to realize what she stole at the sheriff's at the apartment. After she and Charlie rescue everybody, and after Jeremy and Robin have their moment, she's like, well, don't rat me out for this. And she goes and grabs something. It took me until the 3rd watch to realize she grabbed that can of cranberry sauce that we see Michelle dumping out onto a plate.
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
I think what threw me is I guess it was a spot for, like, donations.
Right. Aw.
But it
Wynonna.
I think that's what it was, especially because it was a sheriff's station. So I guess that's what it was. But it also, like, for me, that seemed like a weird spot because it was, like, in a weird spot in the hallway, so it didn't register right away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it straight up took me because I was pausing and I was like, what the hell did she take? And I'm, like, sitting here trying to get close to my TV, and then I realized, like, oh, it's the cranberry sauce.
Man.
I got it.
Taking cranberry sauce from orphans and stuff.
She saved them.
Oh, well, yeah, she did. She saved them.
She saved them. I mean, it'd be one thing if she, like, took, like, their potatoes or something. Or, like, the gravy. But no, she took the cranberry sauce, which we just mentioned doesn't belong anywhere near the table on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, I think it was alright. Man, I was not expecting that to possibly be one of the most controversial things I've said on this podcast, but I bet it was. Hot cranberry sauce takes.
We've got them. Come here for them.
Yes.
I thought it was a little strange how quickly Michelle jumped back on the Team Doc train. If first thing, she, like, runs him out of the house with that tree, right? And she's, like, super cold to him. And, like, if I had been in her place, like, my stance absolutely would have been, you are perfect. You need nothing to complete you. Your hair looks so pretty today. Who is this Doc you speak of? Like, that would be me. Like, and especially, like, with, like, how rude she was to him at first. But I will say that, like, given her kind of shady behavior at the end of the episode, I do wonder if she wanted Wynonna distracted or out of the way so that she could speak with Bobo or pursue Julian leads on her own. And there were other moments that I noticed on the second watch, like the fuss that she made about the cranberry sauce and how quickly she was like, a missing child on Christmas? Go bring them home. When, like, my mother would have been like, first of all, you're not a first responder. It's Christmas. Why do you have your phone on? And, like, and she also, like, steers Waverly in Bobo's direction when she, like, finds out that he's still around. Tells Waverly that he was present at her birth and that she should ask Bobo how to contact Julian, assuming he knows where he is. Like, there isn't a doubt in my mind that she followed Waverly and that's how she was able to find Bobo later on.
Yeah, because I was wondering how she knew where Bobo was.
Waverly.
I mean, it could have very easily have happened off screen, most definitely. But yeah, following Waverly seems reasonable. I can't get a good beat on Mama Earp.
Thank you.
And I think it's very hard because she probably has a lot of her own agenda. She also...
Oh. I'm feeling it. Keep going.
I don't know. There wasn't a lot. Sorry, this was an off the cuff thought for a lot of this. Bear with me. You're so excited.
I am.
I think it's hard to get a good beat on her. It was hard to get a lot of motivations, I guess, because it's hard to get an idea as to who she is. She's still a very early character. I mean, up until last episode, she was basically possessed, you know.
And hallucination.
Yeah, she was haunted, and yeah, I mean, we were introduced to a woman who was having auditory and visual hallucinations, and then who was an auditory and visual hallucination, and so this is our first real experience of who Michelle is, and it's a holiday episode, which makes it that much difficult because she is striving for... You know, I've been absent for your whole life. Like, let me do something that is like that, striving for some normalcy and stuff like that. So it's very hard to get a good beat on her. It's very hard to get an idea of, like, what really she's up to and stuff like that.
Okay, so I want to stay on this train for just a little bit longer. Because selfishly, I do hope that we're dealing with an Irina Derevko situation on this show. And, like, I know we don't make, like, many Alias parallels on this podcast, But my mind kept going back to season 2 when Sydney starts working with her mother. Like, only to be double-crossed, ultimate. And, like, repeatedly double-crossed by that woman. But, and to be clear, like, I don't think Irina Derevko was simply evil. I think exactly like what you just said about Michelle, which is why I was so excited. I think she had her own objective. And I think she was content to work with her daughter and spare her pain when it aligned with her end goal. And, yeah, so that, I'm just putting it out there. Maybe what you said, Michelle has an agenda, and maybe we shouldn't be so quick to trust her. Her line to Wynonna at the end of the episode, "You're a grown woman, you make up your own mind now, we all do," that was suspicious. Like, which is to say nothing of her letting Bobo out of the well. I'm not even gonna touch that right now.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed to me throughout the episode that she was riding this line between wanting to give them this perfect Christmas and wanting to get them out of the house on some errand or another or something else. And then, and then she's saying weird stuff, and then the episode ends with her releasing Bobo. So I don't know.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm sorry I couldn't follow you on the Alias track. I have never seen the show. So.
Girl.
I'm so glad I got to, for the first time, experience your reaction when I tell you I haven't seen something.
Man.
Like, I got to actually watch it, and that was just really fabulous. So thank you for that. And sorry to listeners who couldn't see that. I'm sorry. I know I have some gaps in my pop culture.
You gotta watch for Sydney's mom. I have the biggest crush on her mother.
I feel like
it's
I should
ridiculous.
watch for Sydney, but...
Sure, yeah, watch for Sydney. Yeah, she's the main character, but her mother, my favorite.
I now have to look up who plays... Okay. Or, no, I mean,
It's
I now
Lena
have to look her
Olin.
up.
Like, the Lena Olin. Amazing.
Do you need a minute?
No, I can Google her anytime, and sometimes I do.
Okay, I get it. I mean, a quick Google, I kind of get it, okay.
Right? Okay.
It's like some good casting, too.
Oh, it was amazing. Isabella Rossellini was on for a little while. Like, Mia Maestro was her sister. Good, yeah. Honestly, you should watch it. Just don't expect anything from the last season.
That sounds like a lot of shows.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. I had a thought, and it just kind of went away with...
It's my fault.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Ha, got it. One of the questions I had was, how much did Michelle know about Bobo? Like, did she know he was a Rev and stuff like that? And, like, if she did... Well, I mean, obviously by the end she probably did, but I wanted to know, especially with the way she asked, like, you know, that son of a bitch still around, like... Are you asking because you don't know he's a Rev, or are you asking because you know he's a Rev and want to know if Wynonna took him out?
Right.
So, like, I had questions about that and kind of what's going to happen there. I'm interested to see what happens there, definitely. But, yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's so much about Michelle that we don't know. That I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more information about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hang out on Bobo for a second, because we got some cool backstory in this episode. You know, he says he was on a dig when he heard screaming coming from the Gibson greenhouse, and that was probably a dig to uncover the bones of Clutie's dead sons, right? So he was there when Waverly was born, and he threatened Ward, who we already knew was a coward, that he had to take Waverly and care for her, or Bobo would kill him, basically, which is... kind of answers that question for all of us of, like, if Ward hated this child so much, why did he bother raising her? And now we know he was just a coward who Bobo intimidated into feeding and clothing this child. And we already know that Bobo believes Waverly to be his angel. More curious to me was the fact that Michelle willingly handed her baby over to a known Revenant leader. I fully believe that she knew who he was. She reacts to his name in this episode not with fear, but with like a
Right.
deep familiarity and dislike.
Yeah.
And we know that Ward made a deal with Bobo to free him from the Triangle, to spare his family, but this was much later on. Michelle was already locked up, so I don't know what the story is between Michelle and Bobo. I know what it is between Ward and Bobo. I know what it is between Waverly and Bobo.
Yeah.
But how does she know him so well? Why was she so certain she could trust Bobo with her infant daughter? And finally, what's Bobo's connection to Julian? Why did he know Julian was the father? Why does Michelle ask him where Julian is when Waverly's born, and then again at the well when she releases him? So that's the stuff that I'm hung up on.
So here's what I brushed off with. There were a few things about what you just said that I kind of brushed off as just kind of, so the greenhouse thing, one second, I gotta write down a note, just so I gotta pin something, just so I don't get lost.
Okay.
Because this is like the second time I've thought about it and forgotten to write it down. So a couple of things I brushed off kind of is just like, she's in this greenhouse, and from what Bobo said, she apparently lost a lot of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in comes somebody who can help save the baby. We don't know, like, what time of year it was. We don't know if it was, like, we don't know really necessarily the circumstances. Maybe she thought she was, like, going to die or something like that. So part of me brushed it off as maybe, like, Ward probably had an agreement with Bobo in place for a long time. So she might have known him from that, might have known he was a Rev, might have known that he was possibly trustworthy enough for that, or it could have just been, like, desperation because, you know, she did, when he first comes up, I don't think she's really talking to him when she's, you know, he should be here, where's Julian, he needs to protect her. I don't think that's necessarily her asking Bobo, like, where is he, like, do you know where he is? I think that was one of those things where she's just had a baby, she's scared for the baby and stuff like that, and just kind of out into the universe, like, where's Julian? I think that I kind of brushed it off as one of those. And then, you know, her seeing, like, if you heard her, I swear, and then saying save the baby was, I think, just her being desperate and realizing that she's about to pass out or something. So I brushed a lot of that off.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bobo it wasn't until he heard Waverly's name that he was like, oh, okay, I'll help you out. Like, his complete demeanor softened, and we know why, when she said Waverly's name. So it's like, he wasn't going to bother with that. It seemed clear that he wasn't going to bother with that.
And I feel you on all of those things, and I'm I can dismiss a lot of them too. Mm-hmm. The thing for me is that she asks, and again, it could have been blood loss, right? She asks, where is Julian in the greenhouse? Yeah. But then she specifically lets Bobo out at the end because she believes he can take her to Julian. You know what I mean? So, like, in my mind, there has to be some Bobo-Julian connection there.
Yeah, I mean,
to get him out of that well.
Yeah. For that one, I just kind of brushed it off as, you know, Waverly came back basically saying Bobo knows where Julian is, so Michelle's like, okay, I gotta find this out. So Waverly gave that information to them.
That's a weird off camera though, isn't it?
It was on camera. Waverly says when they're at dinner, she says, I should have made him tell me where Julian is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she totally does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I get you. I'm just saying, I brushed off the greenhouse thing as, like, you know, desperate mom kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But there could be more to it, certainly. Bobo's kind of a hard read, especially now that he's
insane.
Since his most recent death, you know, and returned from hell. I think he's a little bit more unhinged, and then he spent, you know, 5 months in a well, something like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's having a little bit of a rough time, and he's hard to get a beat on. I was also really confused about, while we're on this train too, when Julian disappeared, because when Michelle was telling the story in the beginning, the implication was kind of one of those, like, he left shortly after she found out that she was pregnant, almost. Mm-hmm. But then But then later it's like, oh, he left you that night. Like he disappeared that night or something like that. And it was like confusing because like that's what Waverly says, but Waverly has a history of like not completely listening to people and making her own assumptions and rolling with it. Like she has a really severe history of doing that. But I can't remember. I literally just watched this episode. Like 3 hours ago, I was watching this episode. And I cannot remember what the other comment was about like Julian disappearing that night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm a little unclear. I wish I had more of a clarity as to when he disappeared, because I think that would make it a little bit easier to theorize as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then I did have another thought, and I had this thought a couple of times. I don't remember if we've actually talked about this, so sorry listeners if we have. You know, it's been a while since we talked about season 2. You know, Wynonna threw out the idea about Bobo possibly lying about Waverly being an angel.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's possible that Julian is just some dude. Because Waverly is his angel. You know, Waverly is Bobo's angel, but we don't know if that's why Bobo is saying Waverly's his angel, you know? Like, it could be something like that too. You know, he knew she was special the second Michelle said her name because of that weird trip back through time thing, you know, that Wynonna did. So there's something to consider as well, is Bobo could be speaking his truth, but not the truth.
Yeah, he could. He was really clear to Wynonna, though.
Yeah, I know.
And honest to God, you know, angel. So that would be, I mean, not that I trust Bobo. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that he couldn't lie. That's just a weirdly specific, grandiose lie for him to tell. It
is. I just, you know, I think of things, feel like I need to throw them out on the off chance that it ends up holding any water.
I dig it, yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. It could all be some crazy scam.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Bobo getting out should be fun.
Yeah, I think it should at least shake things up a little bit this season. We're getting, you know, this is, episode 6 now, so yeah, I think it's time for things to start getting messy and crazy.
Right, because things weren't already messy and crazy with Waverly being an angel and Doc becoming a vampire and all that stuff.
I mean, I love vampires, though.
I know.
So, I didn't even register that as being a bad thing or a big deal.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I said, I was saying because things were already shaken up because of those things. I wasn't saying it was a bad thing.
Okay. I feel like I just need to get this out of the way, too. As much as it pains me to say this, like, Doc does give me Riley vibes in this episode. Like, I'm sorry, like, but he, like, readily accepts vampirism if it means, like, he gets to be superpowered again, which I understand, but it all stems from this, like, need to be needed, and, like, that's why Riley was letting those vampires feed off him, supposedly because Buffy just didn't need him enough or didn't love him enough, and, like, I love Doc, and I like Doc far more than I ever even liked Riley. But that parallel is still, like, hard for me to ignore. Also, for the record, again, I love vampires. I say we make the whole team vampires, and then we don't worry about anybody else dying. But, like, still, like, his decision-making, or his motivation in this episode, to me, was Riley Finn.
Okay, but, like, yeah, Doc went running to Kate because Wynonna rejected him.
Did she?
From his perspective, yes.
Okay.
From his perspective, yes. But also, I mean, we know that Doc has wanted his immortality back.
Yes, and that I said, I totally get that. But that whole scene with Kate, and he was like, tell me again. And she's like, I need you so much. Like, that entire thing was just like, man, Riley vibes. That's how I feel. That's my interpretation.
That's fine. Doc Holliday's no Riley Finn.
I told you I love Doc. I like Doc. It was this one episode. You know what I mean? That I was just like, come on.
Okay, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, he does have a little bit of a... Also, like, the whole thing where I'm really curious as to what Bolshar's men did to Kate.
Or if they did anything.
Well, true. She just said they did.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, it was a very dramatic... There's only one thing that'll stop what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I was wondering if maybe they fed her, like, the wonky walnut.
Yes.
So... I'm wondering if that's what happened, and then, that was the only thing that would save her if she fed off him. I don't love that apparently it's that easy to turn somebody either. I really enjoy vampire myth that has the exchange of blood.
Yeah.
So.
Well, same, but there are...
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of cool, like, I also just think it's cool when you can see the spin that people have put on it, because it is so well known. Like the grill, I talked to, like the fake teeth, and stuff like that she wears. I do think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It makes you kind of wonder what they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely the grill, the metal grill thing is definitely kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also, since we're talking about Kate and vampirism.
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of love that Doc was, like, so oblivious and apparently, like, spent so much time, with opium that he completely did not register that Kate was 100% serious when she told him she's a vampire. That was so funny when she's just like, I told you so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's not like she hinted at it. She's just, Doc, I'm a vampire.
Doc, I'm a vampire.
Doc, I drink blood. Doc, I want to bite you. Well, I thought that was role-playing. And I do kind of love how they explained away us seeing Big Nose Kate's photo in the old newspaper that Waverly shows to Doc in season 1.
Yeah.
I kind of love how they just brushed that. Well, I got my friend, my good friends to pose as me. So, yeah. I really loved that. I thought that was a fun way to brush off the they look different thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Doc completely not realizing it killed me.
Yeah, that was also one of my favorite moments for the exact same reason. Like, just not really listening, just super drunk and high, and just thought it was all some, like, kinky and, it was fine. Like, yeah.
And apparently Doc, like, really isn't into being bitten if he went that long, not realizing it. So.
I will say that, like, Kate has been nothing but helpful thus far. Like,
mm-hmm.
the bullshit, like, the abducting thing, and I have to bite you, and, like, all that stuff, like, that did seem suspect to me, but, like, she totally, like, abducted him in the first episode. Like, she's obviously here for him. Or, I mean... Mm-hmm. I think. I don't think Bolshar wants him. I think Kate wants him. So
yeah,
and like So I don't know. Like I'll say that much for her at least. Like so far she's been a contributing member, and like before we go doling out like member adjacent status to dudes as suspicious to me as Paul Dearden from Orphan Black, we should ask ourselves, who do we know with superpowers and in with Bolshar, valuable intel, and a killer wardrobe?
I mean, because you're right. Kate has been pretty clear about her motivations.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have a feeling we're looking at another situation like Rosita where Wynonna is gonna act like an asshole. Where Wynonna's gonna act like this and it's gonna bite her in the ass later.
Yeah.
Like, she apparently did not learn. There is something that's gonna happen because she did this with Rosita. She treated her like something she, like, stepped in, and then expected her to be on her side when she needed her the most.
Yeah.
And it looks like Wynonna is making a very similar mistake with Kate, just because Kate and Doc are a thing.
Yes. Also,
which, I mean...
like, yeah, go ahead.
Fair personality flaw, but girl, you gotta learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
This, like, Charlie Fire Services dude, like, am I supposed to like him? Because it's like show isn't even trying to make me like him. Like, he's too quick to meet the team, he's too in the know about the inner workings of Purgatory, doesn't even flinch when Wynonna pulls Peacemaker on him, he's wooden, he misses most of Wynonna's hilarious jokes, and last year the entire fire department was a weird cult. And this dude... like, he has to be undercover Black Badge, right? Like, at the very least, he's curiously gifted at infiltration and combat.
Yeah, I mostly, like, I just want to know if we're supposed to believe they have, like, a lot of chemistry, because I don't think they did. Like, sorry, but... Look, I don't know how you go... I also, from the stuff that I've seen him in, like, he was in Bomb Girls and kind of really annoying. Like,
I blocked it out.
And then, yeah, see?
It's gone.
But no, I mean, it's just, when he first came on screen, it was very obvious that they were setting him up to be some sort of love interest with Wynonna, and it's just like, why? When you have Doc Holliday right there. And, like, I'm very gay, and I've said this multiple times, but he's not an unattractive man. Doc isn't. So
no,
it's like,
he's not.
Doc loves you, Wynonna. Set your crap aside and go get Doc. Like, I don't know, he has a very evolved, like, well, you're another woman, And that's very hard for a man, from the 1800s. You'd expect. But, yeah, I was totally, let me, just for fun, here's how I wrote their moments in my recap for that end moment.
Mm-hmm.
Wynonna leaves to go find Charlie instead of Doc, and no! That was how that went.
Accurate.
And I believe in my longer recap, yeah, Wynonna goes to the tree lot where Charlie is, with his old school fire engine, and yep, that was it. That was how I handled that last scene of them. Because I wasn't here for it at all. I tried to add him as little as possible as I could in my recap. Yeah. It's very upsetting when shows make me focus on the boring white dude I don't want to focus on. Mm-hmm. It's like when I used to recap Grey's and had to write about Owen Hunt. That was terrible. It was the worst to have an Owen Hunt-centered episode, because I did everything possible, and I had a few disclaimers in the beginning of those recaps that was basically like, I'm being forced to talk about Owen because he unfortunately was the center of the episode.
He exists, so.
Yeah. Before I start railing on Owen Hunt from Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, no,
that would be a weird tangent.
It's one I can go on. I wasn't here for the fire services dude, and yeah, I mean, there's gotta be something shady.
Right?
And, he can't be the one fire department dude who just isn't weird. And yeah, well, I mean, of course it's something supernatural. Really? But, I don't know. I also kind of didn't like how that thing went at the end, where she was like, no strings, and I guess it was supposed to be when he's like, I guess we'll find out. It's like, no, maybe sort out whether or not you're going to be, like, able to have a no strings thing before you jump into the seat with her. Like, I don't know, it's just, that's not flirty or fun for me.
You're like, wait, time out. She's making her needs known. Excuse me.
Like, make it clear because she's got Doc.
I feel you.
and we have spent more time talking about
I'm
this
really
boring
sorry.
dude than I wanted to. I just thought about that.
I know. So
No, it's okay.
Like, so Bolshar is making murder trees of the first families, right?
That has to be it.
It has to be, because you pointed out with the lead glampire at the end of the first episode that Bolshar made him swallow a seed, and in this episode we see more of that. We see the seed again, and a pretty gnarly looking pea soup concoction, like thrown in for good measure. So we're either making murder trees or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at this point,
or it's. Not the Ninja Turtles, but, like, what was the Secret of the Ooze one? It was, like, the wolf and the snapping turtle. Is that what they did in the 90s movie?
Are you talking about the Power Rangers?
No!
What?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yes, yeah.
Why would I make a Power Rangers reference by going off of what you said about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Green Ooze?
Because I was thinking about the Ooze Power Rangers movie when I made this comment, when I made this note, and then I was like, no, go with Ninja Turtles. So then I got excited because I thought you were talking about Power Rangers. This is falling apart.
I am keeping all of this, though. I am deleting none of this.
I'm sorry. Anyway, what were you saying?
I think I was just agreeing with you about the trees.
Okay. Ninja Turtles.
And trying to make the same pop culture reference that you were, but then failing because you were on a different train of thought already.
I'm sorry, I jumped on and then right off.
Look, I get really excited about the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja, the early 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I'm really sorry.
Hell yes, me too, yeah.
Anyway, so, and I'm a little worried for Robin.
I know.
So, that's, I guess we'll find out what that does. Apparently, I mean, we know so far it's going to make him like a potato.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
No. Yeah.
It's like I keep almost forgetting about that.
Yeah, it's still a thing that's going to happen at some point.
I'm really excited that Jeremy finally got his kiss, and I ship it. I think they're adorable. But I'm with you. Like, let's get Robin some Epicac and a bucket and let him deal with that haunted gut walnut.
Yeah, I'm also really concerned that, okay, we may not lose Nicole anytime soon, but I'm now a little bit concerned that we're going to lose Robin.
Yeah, that would suck.
It would, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. But yeah, that was really cute. And Jeremy, like, worrying about being ghosted.
Yes.
And then, like, is so real.
Yes.
It's such a real thing.
Yep.
And even, like, Jeremy having the dating is harder when you're gay talk to Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like I couldn't even get one person, the only gay man in purgatory, to call me back.
Yeah.
Don't talk, mister. I have woman after woman after woman. Like, yeah, that was so real.
Jeremy realizing that Robin was probably abducted by Bolshar and not ghosting him really resonated with the fire sign in me. Like, acceptable reasons not to text me back consist entirely of two things: death or kidnapping. And that's it. That's all.
And there you go, ladies. Once again, a way to win Lara over.
Respond when I text you. That's it, really.
Basic respect.
Yeah, that's what I'm into.
We're learning so much about you this season.
I know, it's crazy. I'm really opening up.
It's the season to get to. It's the season to hook you up, I guess.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, perhaps. Don't say that because my mom listens to this sometimes. You know. Yeah. You've already seen her comments, and, like, she's gonna be like, yes, let Catherine set you up with somebody, you know, so...
Actually, no, if that's going to be her response, then that's going to motivate me to cut this even less. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We'll talk after.
Follow your heart.
Oh, my heart says leave all of this in. While we're talking about Robin and Jeremy, too, I love that Robin put Jeremy in his phone as Jeremy Cute Murder Tree.
I didn't see it. I was trying to read the last name, and I was like, what are all those letters? Like...
Yeah, it's Cute Murder Tree with no spaces.
That's awesome.
And it made me laugh.
Yeah, I thought Doc talking to, or attempting to talk to Jeremy about boy troubles was adorable. Like, doubly, like, doubly so because he couldn't understand any of Jeremy's references, but he was still, like, like, trudging through it, like, determined to make his little buddy feel better.
I loved that. I loved their talk. And I loved when Jeremy, like, puts his hand on, like, thanks, Doc, and puts his hand on his thigh. Doc, like, picks it up and puts it back on Jeremy. I just kind of love that. Like I said, a lot of the physical comedy moments definitely go to Tim this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so good. But yeah, I just like those little moments like that. Because we got another great background doc when they're talking about Bolshar when they're back at HQ, and Wynona's like, well, it must be Bolshar, and useless fire services dude is like, I wish he had a harder to remember name because I feel bad, like, not saying Charlie, even though I don't want to. I feel bad giving him a nickname when he's got an easy name. It's not like Ewan.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I deviated again. God, what is with me tonight?
It's late.
Whee! But Doc's face when Jeremy is fumbling over the he's a huge dick thing made me laugh too.
It's a small thing, but I really dig that Mama Earp's Christmas sweater has a bottle opener on the front of it, like a fully functional bottle opener.
I definitely missed that.
It's in the very beginning. She cracks her beer with it.
I probably didn't register that that's what she did. I might have thought she was just like, oh, it's like wet, so she was getting a better grip. I didn't register that's amazing. That is unbelievable. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I totally missed that. I honestly, like, thank you, wardrobe, for everything in this episode.
Yeah.
The sweaters. I mean, the sweaters were great. The outfits, Nicole's elf outfit was ridiculous. Wynona's onesie, a very special moment to... Oh, I see it now. I literally just pulled up the episode so I could watch her crack open the bottle with the bottle opener on her sweater. And, like, very special mention goes to Waverly's outfit at the end.
Yeah, that was a whole ensemble. That was a whole thing.
Yes, it was a whole lot of wonderful things there.
I think, like, this is maybe the closest to Stefan I can get this episode, is talking about Way Hot. Because, like, the Way Hot was off the charts in this episode. Like, you want Christmas-themed fluff? Like, we've got it. You want Dom singing? No problem. Dom dancing? We've got that too. Boisterous sex noises? Ask Wynonna. She'll probably throw up on your shoes. Like, it was nonstop.
It was way hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, hell, they left the door open too in the beginning.
I know.
So.
Kind of a small, like, thing, but I thought it was really hilarious that Nicole kept her elf ears on, even as she was doing crowd control on an angry mob of terrified parents.
I mean, and then it's like, I mean, commitment to the outfit right there. I did not understand why she was wearing it still later when she was trying to seriously talk to Nedley about, like, we need you, because Nedley was out of his Santa outfit, and Nicole most definitely had clothes she could have changed into at work. Like, you cannot tell me that she did not have clothes at work.
Yeah.
Because in the next scene, she's in her regular police uniform. So, yeah, the commitment to the elf outfit for a good chunk of the episode. It's just really special. It's just not a flattering outfit either.
No. It's like a big green sack.
When she walked out into Waverly's room in the beginning, she 100% reminded me of Ralphie in A Christmas Story when he comes out in the bunny outfit. But, like, think about how she walked out. She did it, like, totally Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
That's a good one.
And it made me laugh.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
And
there was nice foreshadowing to, like, this whole season, like, to hint at Nedley's, like, retirement, like right up through this episode with Nicole saying during that moment that she was ready to play Santa for a change. And I like, while I don't think it will be as easy as Nedley just stepping aside, mainly because Nedley doesn't strike me as the type to just gather his golf clubs and go bury his head in the sand. I hope that's the case. I think he's dealt with enough crazy, and I hope he just retires and moves to Florida like everybody else.
I have a lot of Nedley thoughts. One of them being, I was not expecting this to happen so soon. We have talked about, like, losing Nedley in some capacity. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting this to be the episode where Nedley's like, oh, I'm retiring.
Me neither.
I am a little concerned. He seems to be really struggling. You know, I don't think he's an up and go to Florida, especially because he's really feeling, you know, like, just kind of what's the point of it all. So I'm a little worried he's going to become, like, he's going to become, you know, a regular at Shorty's that starts his day significantly earlier.
Yeah.
And closes out the bar. I also have questions because I thought in a lot of cases sheriffs were elected.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's not the case in Purgatory. But if that is the case, then we're going to have, like, Nicole being elected because, you know, that's how I had that random thought too. I was like, I thought a lot of times sheriffs were elected, but I don't know if it works differently in Purgatory and if Nicole can indeed just step up and be sheriff without any issues on that end.
Yeah, there are like 20 people remaining in the town still alive, not counting the revs, so maybe.
Yeah. But no, I mean, poor Nedley, man. And like catatonic Nedley was just rough.
Yeah, it was sad to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard. Although I have to say, I guess the takeaway from that one scene was not probably shouldn't have been wondering which season of Pretty Little Liars did Nedley watch.
Dude, this is like going back to like the root of our like friendship, like right here. We're like getting like we're going full circle, like. Yeah, that was probably my favorite quote of the entire episode. Nicole, a couple weeks ago, I saw vampires bite Lonnie's head off, and the next night I binge watched an entire season of Pretty Little Liars like nothing ever happened. And I was like, Randy, if I had a dime for every time my day started with vampire gore and ended with a PLL binge, like... Back in the good old days, man, before the show jumped the shark and started villainizing trans people and giving everybody a twin sister. Ugh. Man.
No, that's why I wanted to know which season. Like, it had to have been one or two. Like, one of the first three seasons. Yeah, maybe three. Yeah, I was trying to think, because I binged, like, the first couple seasons, like, really fast. I had to start stopping them in the middle of the episode. So I could, like, go to work on time.
Yeah.
But, because it's like, if I stop this now, I won't want to watch another one.
Yep.
You know, if I stop this in the middle now, I can go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally feel that Pretty Little Liars binge. I just was really curious as, you know, what season is he in? Who does he ship Emily with? You know,
who does he ship Spencer with? What are you talking about?
Sorry, I was focused on the gay.
Yeah, but everybody's shipped. Don't you remember, like, back in the day when,
I know.
What was that? Back when After Ellen, like, had their, like, it was the MVP writers back in the day, and there was that one year, it was the Fem/Slash tournament, and it was, like, every, like, entry, Heather Hogan said, like, I should have just asked you guys who you want to ship Spencer Hastings with, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, because there's Sparia and Stemily and all that stuff. Yeah, it's great. This is a Pretty Little Liars podcast.
Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
I wouldn't be. Don't be sorry. Yeah. It was just... but I think that was not supposed to be my takeaway from that scene, but it definitely, I was really curious.
It was mine too. I'm not going to let you go out on a limb alone. I really want to know the answer to that question.
Good. I'm so glad.
You know what, dude? Something that I feel like we need to address was that vegan lesbian comment that Michelle made.
Yeah.
Diana Pamela Dolls on Twitter asked if this comment meant that Waves is a lesbian and not a bisexual. And Kat Zim, also on Twitter, responded that she took this as Mama Earp being unintentionally reductive in the way that parents can be sometimes. And Emily Andress immediately backed Kat Zim up on that and confirmed her interpretation of that scene. So I think we all need to remember that going forward. You know, Michelle Earp, off the cuff, you know, calling her daughter a lesbian is not Waverly calling herself a lesbian. And bi erasure is a real thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's been very clear from the way they like, especially Dom views it, and the way Dom knows the character, and no, the actors don't write the characters, but I have a feeling with what we know about how the actors and Emily and the writers kind of interact when it comes to their characters, it's pretty safe to say Dom views her as kind of bisexual and stuff like that, and so I think, it's definitely, that's worth mentioning. Thank you. I had seen that tweet, and then I kind of, it went poof. But yeah, it's a valid point because that's a real thing. I mean, just because somebody's dating a woman doesn't automatically make them a lesbian.
That's right.
So that doesn't mean, like, Waverly could be, but we've talked about this with, like, her I think I'm gay comment that wasn't Waverly, like, it wasn't necessarily a declaration, like, because a lot of people will use gay as, like, more of an umbrella term or more of, like, a general, like, term instead of a very specific I'm only interested in. So yeah, worth mentioning, definitely. So thank you for bringing that up. I didn't remember Waverly being vegan earlier in the series. I totally, like, my first thought was, since when?
Yeah. I know Dom is, but that I didn't know that Waverly was.
Yeah, I completely didn't realize it. So, yeah, I definitely, Dom definitely, I knew that. Yeah, that was one of my questions. I was like, how long has Waverly been vegan? Like, has it been since she met Nicole? Because, like, what a stereotype, but no.
Rat smoothie.
Why you gotta do...
That would do it. That would make you make the switch. Sorry. I wish people could see your face right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure it's lovely.
It's excellent.
I can only see yours because I've got the window minimized, so. Sorry. See, I got derailed again at that terrible, terrible rat smoothie thought. Yeah, no. Let's see. I still had a few minor moments that I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I keep mentioning, like, the physical comedy moments, and I should have put my own little section because there were so many of them for me. Like, so I'm just going to list them off now. Like, Michelle's little hat tip motion when she's talking about Doc in the beginning.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. And then the look on Wynonna's face when they're in the kitchen, the three Earp women are in the kitchen, and they're like, okay, let's talk about, like, Michelle's like, have a seat. And then when Wynonna sits down and this chair squeaks, and the look on her face when it squeaks, because she's, like, trying not to be too intrusive.
Yeah.
And she just sits down and the chair just it made me laugh every time I watched it. So I wanted to mention those two moments.
I also thought it was really funny when Kate goes to, like, light that, like, candle with a match, and she just turns that light on, like, and the look on her face, like, she's just, like, obviously pouting. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it's like electricity, bitch.
Yeah,
because it's like we see Kate lighting candles all over the place, and she's like, "Hey, I'm more modern. Take that." But also with that, the scene with Waverly trying to get Michelle to tell her about her dad. I really appreciated Wynonna not only telling Waverly about her dad right away, especially with the history this damn, family has of, like, keeping things for a while. Mm-hmm. I appreciated Wynonna and then having her back with Michelle.
Yeah.
And, like, really supporting her and really trying to, like, be like, hey, Mom, it's probably a good time to tell her. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. I thought it was really sweet that Mama Earp called Waverly her miracle baby. Because my mom has called me that my whole life, because I guess I was a fallopian pregnancy, and so she thought she was actually going to have to, like, terminate the pregnancy. But, but she had, like, her final, like, ultrasound or whatever, and I had moved, and the procedure was called off. But she was always, like, really upfront with me about, like, you know, like, when you're a kid and you're like, when did you find out you were pregnant, you know? Mom was like, actually, that was a horrible time, and, you know, and then, you know, she was like, that's okay, you're my miracle baby, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, so that was just like, oh, Waverly.
Oh, yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Also, I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, it worked out, and here I am.
It did. Now we have this great toddler.
Yes. The cycle continues.
Yay! Anyway, a couple of other minor moments. Doc drawing on the iPad, on the tablet, at when Wynonna walks in with Charlie and the blood sample for Jeremy. I just like how Doc is sitting there, like, feet up on the desk, just drawing. Mm-hmm. I can't tell what he's drawing, but that's what he's doing. He's just drawing. And I kind of like that.
Nicole and Wynonna's, like, low-key friendship, high-key annoyance is... I love it so much. And, like, they're absolutely friends, but Nicole, like, leaving Wynonna hanging for that high five and ignoring her Carrie joke, I loved it. It cracked me up.
That, and then in the beginning when, you know, Wynonna tries with the, you know, like, are you happy to see me bit?
Yeah.
Like, is that, are those your ears, or are you just happy to see me? And she's just like, not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I forget, there was a really cool theory that I saw on Twitter that I shared with Catherine, and this is Lisa Burkett. It's at BurkettLS, and she says, rewatched Wynonna Earp. I saw somewhere that another Earper, I'm sorry to whoever that Earper is, she doesn't quote them, thinks that Julian is the angel statue in the Gibson greenhouse. So that got me thinking, Constant Clutie is the Stone Witch, so did she turn Julian to stone? Hashtag Wynonna Earp. So, Lisa, I don't know if you listen, but I love that theory. I love the thought that Julian has kind of been hiding in plain sight this whole time, that he's been trapped, that he didn't willingly miss Waverly's birth, and that he was actually there for it as the stone statue. And I also really love anything that brings Constance Clutie back into the mix. So, yeah, so I would love it if she, you know, like, cursed Julian just to mess with Michelle, just to hurt, you know, an Earp adjacent.
Honestly, I think I think it's very likely that Julian did not disappear on his own, that did not leave on his own accord.
Yeah, same here.
I think that the idea that he has, you know, he's so, you know, complete opposite of Ward. He's, you know, kind and honest and an angel. I think the idea that he just left is highly unlikely, unless it was he had to leave. We talked about last week, you know, angels with purpose and stuff like that. You know, everyone has a purpose. So that could be likely, but it could be also highly likely that somebody did something to him.
Yeah, I think so.
I like that theory about the Stone Witch. It's a good one. Also, just a couple, like, more random favorite moments. I really liked the scene with the factory when Wynonna infiltrates the factory, and, you know, you've got, like, the Christmas music in the background, and Wynonna and Charlie just killing Bolshar's minions, and Wynonna quipping and stuff like that. I really liked that. I thought that was fun. And then the dinner at the end when they're all together. I love a good group scene, and I thought Doc not wearing a crown was kind of a nice touch because, you know, he's not feeling like part of the group or whatever, and so that was a nice touch just from a
staging, blocking.
Thank you. Staging. It'd be staging. It'd be whoever's decision that was. I liked that just to kind of point out that he's, you know, because he had his, like, he didn't have his hat on. He wasn't wearing anything on his head. So I thought that was a nice touch. And then the toasts at dinner, you know, Nicole toasting to to fallen comrades, Waverly toasting to Nicole, Jeremy to not getting ghosted, and Wynonna to, the reappearance of Jeremy's upper lip. R.I.P. Jeremy's dog stash.
Yeah.
So I thought, and I like that moment, like Wynonna telling him, he looks handsome. I think I missed him last episode. We didn't mention it during the podcast. I realized after we had recorded and after, like, in mid-editing, I was like, oh, I meant to mention this. I kind of missed I missed Jeremy last week.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have him back, and it's nice that Wynonna still seems to be trying to make an effort with him to kind of be nice and everything, considering, how things went a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
I guess, like, a couple of Bolshar notes, just general Bolshar. So we found out, we still don't know exactly what he's doing. Like, we talked about this, we think he's doing the trees. And this is very revenge-based because,
oh, yeah.
He's telling people, just as your ancestors watched my final moments, when he tells them to watch what he's doing. And we find out that, at least this poor little kid comes from a family who his great-great-great-grandfather sold Bolshar out to Wyatt and gave him the keys to the sheriff's office. Mm-hmm. So it's he's not a fan of the town. He finds them all disgusting, which is kind of an interesting word choice considering. I'm kind of curious to see. I really want to know more about what exactly took Bolshar down.
Yeah.
Like, how it went down, and because the idea that the entire town, I mean, going after people for just kind of standing around seems, I guess, reasonable enough, but there's got to be more to it.
Mm-hmm. Flashback.
I know. Random tree note. That tree that almost takes Wynonna down apparently wasn't native to the area. So, fun tree fact, the trees are weird still. The Bolshar trees are not native, which...
He could have haunted walnuts from all over. And
I know.
I guess that would make them not purely walnuts also, but...
Probably.
Anyway.
Not an arborist. Oh, I meant to say this when we were talking about Doc and Kate. We were talking about how we expected Doc to make a deal with Bolshar. Mm-hmm. I mean, he still kind of made a deal with the demon this episode.
Yep.
So. Alright. I think that about does me for everything except quotes.
Quotes.
Yay!
Yay!
And I have a bunch on my list.
I really like, right off the top, I guess the Menstru Angel can go back in my box.
Yes, that was so good. I like, so where does that leave me then? Legolas for life? And I just like Waverly's like, I know, it's not fair that you're always elf cast.
That was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an obvious one. My yams need to be mashed, and by the looks of it, so do you.
Things you don't necessarily want your mother to be saying.
Not really.
I already mentioned those, your ears, are you just happy to see me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and when Waverly mentions, I have to go dig around for the Menstru Angel. Oh, no go. Mom is not a fan of our blessedly absorbent friend. And then, I didn't know they were tampons when I made it, but I love that.
I love that too. That was on my list. I really like Jeremy's. My mood has nothing to do with guys, okay? I passed the Bechdel test with flying colors. A whole rainbow of them.
I thought you might mention that line.
Loved it.
Oh, and like, Wynonna's response to "Look, you're my miracle baby," and what better time of year to tell her about it than JC's birthday?
Yep. I really loved Jeremy getting like all sassy with Wynonna, and Wynonna being like, "We don't talk about Helen Mirren in that tone." And Jeremy, like, the thing that sold it for me was Jeremy's like very grave little like, "Okay," like,
yeah,
it just made it so much better. Like, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I liked that one too. I had that one on my list. Kate greeting like Wynonna and Doc at the door, and Wyatt's great-granddaughter. You're missing a great, Kate. Not an intentional rhyme. We're on the clock. Plus, I don't need an invitation to enter places.
I really liked Wynonna's Queen of the Damned meet King of the Dents. The vamp was calling from inside the house. Also,
that was next on my
obviously,
list.
Anne Rice character, Akasha, the Queen of the Damned. So,
yeah. The vamp was calling from inside the house got me every damn time I watched. It was so good. Sorry, once again, I transcribed huge chunks of scenes, so I have to, like, clear through that. Oh, Wynonna, when she's quipping, "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Ho, ho, hold my calls while I kick some honeycomb ass."
Yep, I have that one too. We kind of skipped over this one, and you sort of mentioned it earlier, but I really like Jeremy's huge dick. He is a huge dick. I don't know about his size down there.
Yeah. That was funny. We talked about the "I'm vegan, you're already a lesbian." I liked that just because Michelle used it as a segue to, speaking of which, is Nicole going to join us for dinner? Like, that was really what I liked about that line.
Yeah.
Is how she segued into asking if Nicole was joining them.
Likewise, I thought it was a really funny line, and I didn't have any issue with it or anything. It was like, when I saw that back and forth happening on Twitter, I was like, oh, this is just something that we should bring up. Because, like, it didn't... Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it didn't bug me or anything, and I think I kind of took it the same way that other person was taking it, of just, like, moms being like, oh, you're, gay, lesbian, whatever you are, like, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's easy. Oh, dating a woman? Probably haven't talked much about Waverly's dating past, so as far as she knows, Waverly dating a woman, Waverly has,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. But no, I loved that segue into Nicole coming to dinner. Waverly's little, I don't feel like an angel, just kind of, it's like, oh, Waverly.
Yeah.
I think that was about, other than I kind of like how Doc delivered the "Merry Christmas" to me as the last line of the episode after he got bit.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty much everything on my list.
That's it for me.
I figured. Back to form, where I have more on the list, So if that does it for you on quotes and me on quotes, is there anything else popped into your head you want to mention?
No, I'm good, dude.
Alrighty. So with that, this actually gets us halfway through the season too.
Woo!
So we're just trucking on through.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you everybody for listening. If you haven't read my recap and want to check it out, I've retweeted it from the Make Your Peace Twitter, or at least I will have done it by the time this posts, as I just realized I haven't yet retweeted it. So you can check that out at 4YE_MYP podcast. You can also follow the 4YE Twitter at 4_Y_E to see when it goes up every week, so you don't have to rely on me remembering to retweet it. And you can also go directly to the site at 4ye.co.uk, and that is the number 4. And you can find me on Twitter at cmeushaw, that's at CMEUSHAW. And Lara, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RSMayfair.
Thank you guys once again for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.